we're not doing is we're not trying to create a farm. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a whole entire ecosystem. So what's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to show you something pretty cool because we have 4 different types of animals all working together in a symbiotic relationship here. I want to explain it to you because here what we're not doing is we're not trying to create a farm. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a whole entire ecosystem. And in that ecosystem, it requires a lot of different types of animals. It requires a lot of different types of plants. And right here in this paddock that we're in, where we just moved the cows to, and where we just moved the ducks, it's the perfect example of what we're trying to do all across this farm and then on a much larger scale. So just in this one paddock right now, we have 3 types of animals, but I said 4 that are all working together, okay? We have our cows, our longhorns, we have our llamas, and in this paddock here is where we have our ducks. And right now they're in this chicken tractor. Let me show you. Well, I actually need to stop calling this a chicken tractor because right now it's a duck tractor. So it's a duck tractor they're in. And for now, they're in this. They're only going to be in here for another maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I got to go build what I'm going to be building them, and that is a modified version of Joel Salatin's Millennium Feathernet. I'm going to call it the X-Wing because it's going to have the X-Trust, and then hey, his was named after the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. I have the X-Wing. It's gonna be pretty cool, so follow along if you want to see that build. I'm gonna talk about the 3 types of animals that are in this paddock, and then the 4th one that is helping everybody here. You see, the cows, they're out there grazing right now, and that's what their purpose is. Their purpose is to mow the grass. Their purpose is to mow the grass, leave behind their manure, and that way it fertilizes the ground better, and then more stuff can grow back up. That's their purpose. The llamas, what they do is they also eat the grass. What the llamas do, which I really like, and I think they're extremely underrated because I would say they're right up there with goats. What the llamas do, and what our future alpacas, we have those ordered by the way, that's gonna be really exciting. We have a lot of stuff coming up. What the llamas do is they go through and eat all the stuff that the cows really don't eat. There's a few things that they won't touch, but for the most part, they'll go eat the brambles. They love the brambles. That is their preferred choice of food. If we put brambles or great pasture out there, they'll go for the brambles and then they'll go to the pasture. It's really crazy. The wild blackberry bushes or rose bushes that we have here, they'll go and pick off every leaf, and next thing you know, all we have is a stick, and that is not going to come back. Or if it does, it'll come back slowly, but by the time we rotate them around, the llamas are going to hit it again and they're going to be gone. That way we have a better pasture. What they also do, look what they're doing back there. Those are our pecan trees, and yes, I said pecan because that's how I say it. I know in Texas it's pecan, so don't give me a whole bunch of crap in the comments, okay? I say pecan. What they do is they go keep our trees trimmed up to a good height. You know, they're almost 6 foot. I'm 6'3", so they can keep it to where I can basically walk under all of our trees without having to duck. But a big thing of what the llamas actually do is they go and, you know, they sanitize the pasture to a degree. Why? Because the cows and llamas, they don't really transfer parasites. I know everybody in the comments is going to say, oh, there's 1 or 2 that can transfer. Yes, that can happen. But for the most part, the rest of the parasites, they can't transfer. Why? Because it's an incompatible host. So if there's a cow parasite and the llama picks it up, the parasite's dead. It's just not going to survive. If there's a llama parasite and the cow picks it up, dead, not going to survive. So by having that multi-species grazing, they eat different things, so it really takes care of almost everything in the pasture. Now there's a couple things that it doesn't take care of. They won't eat the buttercups, the few that we still have, or the ground sole. Okay, got that right this time, not dandelions. The ground sole, they won't touch that either. But for the most part, out here in the cool season grasses, they eat everything. Now where do our ducks come into play? You see, what happens in nature is the big herds of animals come through, the bison, the wildebeest, the zebra, the gazelle, whatever you want to call it. And the big herds move through. And then what happens is that because the grass is so much shorter, a lot of the insects are a lot more exposed. And what likes insects? Birds. Birds usually come up behind them and will go and eat all the insects that's exposed. That's why you see the cattle birds out here, and they'll go, you know, when the cows walk, it disturbs a spider, they'll go grab it. They like to stick with the cows, and they like to pick the flies off the cows' faces and everything. But the true way in nature is for them to follow, and that's a big deal. Why? Because once the manure comes out of the llama or comes out of the cow, it takes 3 to 4 days for the fly larva that likes to get in there and grow to come up. Now, if we move a bird, like a duck, now would it be best for a chicken? Yes, like Joel Salatin's system, but you know what? Don't really like chickens, and you know what? Duck eggs are better for you because they're alkaline, by the way. That's a thing that I didn't know. And you know, ducks, I just prefer them because they don't scratch. I don't want tilling in the pasture. But the ducks will go through, and they'll go through the cow manure and go pick out all that fly larva and get free duck food. So between the cattle birds that we have here, the cattle egrets if you want to call it that, and the ducks that we're gonna be not gonna be in this. I mean, sure, if there's a cow patty or two that, you know, they'll be in when we move them. Okay, they'll get it out of there, but we're gonna put them in a big net in the X-wing to where it's really it's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be a pretty cool design if it comes out. I think it will come out. And they'll be able to go through and go get all the fly larva. And when I feed them, instead of putting them in a tray, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go throw it in the cow patties. Why? That way it encourages them to go through it and go get all that fly larva. And I really just see the ducks as a bonus in this whole system because, you know, we need them as pasture sanitation. That's the main thing for them here. But they produce one duck because, you know, we're gonna eat some of the drakes because that's just the way it, you know, you can't have to, you know, the ratio has to be correct to where the duck hens, or I think that they're called hens, or just the duck hens, we'll call them that. I don't know what they're called, put that down in the comments. I'm gonna look that up later. But we don't want the drakes to just go harass them, and, you know, just they need a break and the ratio needs to be right. So we're gonna eat the drakes, and then from the females, just the female ducks, we get eggs that are produced on the pasture. They're gonna be so much better than the store-bought eggs. One, because I don't think you can really find duck eggs in the store. They're very alkaline. That's a big thing to me, by the way. You always want to eat an alkaline-based diet or drink alkaline or alkalized. Don't do the alkaline water that they do in the stores, but alkalized water, totally different, by the way. Look that up. But with the duck eggs being alkaline, that's really why we got them. But it just produces a byproduct that's going to be here for something that, you know, we basically get for free because I'd have these guys here just for pasture sanitation alone. But what the ducks also do is this. Let me show you. This is where the ducks were. This is where they moved from. This is where they were the day before. I moved them just 8 feet because it's an 8x8 chicken tractor. And what they do is, they started out over there, by the way, and that's basically all the way recovered almost. They go and leave a very concentrated amount of nitrogen in one specific area, which is great. Why? Because guess what? This area here is going to grow back so much greener, so much stronger. Maybe not this year, but next year. Oh my gosh, the big difference. When we had our chickens out in the pasture over there last year, it's so much better. I mean, just noticeably greener, noticeably darker, noticeably better plants. So the ducks are going to be doing a lot here, and because of how their feet are. You see, chickens, they like to scratch, and I think that's a good thing to get through the cow pies, but I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing for the ground. Could disagree on that. A lot of people will say, hey, it's a good thing. I don't know. I don't like disturbing the ground because around here, if you disturb the ground, you're gonna get goat weed, and I don't want goat weed. The cows don't want goat weed. Nobody wants goat weed. I don't even think the goat weed wants goat weed. But what the ducks do is they go and with their web feet and they squash. And all I see that doing is the grass that they don't eat, because they will get, I think, up to like 50 or 60% from the grass. What they don't eat, they'll just smash down. And that's just adding organic matter back to the soil. And that's always a good thing. And the fourth set of animals, okay? The fourth set of animals that, they're not out here right now, but I'm gonna talk to you about them because it's a pretty big deal. See, one thing with the cows can really protect themselves. The llamas, they got themselves too. I mean, they're good. People use llamas as guardian animals. That's what we originally got them for, because when we bring in the alpacas are about half the size, and the smaller alpacas and the babies, they can get messed up by, you know, a wild dog, a pig maybe, or for sure a coyote. So the llamas, they don't like dogs. They don't like any kind of canine. They will go and mess something up. They'll go and flip it over, and they'll try and disembowel it. They're pretty. They're about 6 feet tall. They're about 300 pounds, and they're intimidating. I mean, I look at them face to face because I'm 6'3". They're like right here on me. I'm going, okay, you know, you're an interesting fellow. And a coyote, when they see a llama that's not something that they're used to seeing, they won't mess with it and they'll just stay away. But what happens when the cows and the llamas aren't here? You see, the chicken tractor back here will do its job for now. But when I have the X-wing out, it's going to be in a net, and then I'm not going to have a way to close them up at night. They'll be able to get under a shelter because that's the way that it's built. But I won't necessarily be able to close them up at night. I'm going to do a couple things to be able to protect them, because am I going to just rely on the electric fence? No, I'm not. Why? Because I like redundancies. You know, you always want redundancies, because what happens if I forget to turn it on, or what happens if the wind blows it down or something, okay? I want redundancies. So we're going to be doing two things. One, we're going to be adding at least one goose. We're going to try our hand at hatching goose eggs again. We have a friend that's going to bring some over from her goose, which is really, really nice of her. They're going to be some brown Chinese, and see how they do, see how they hatch out. But we're for sure probably going to get an adult goose before we put the X-wing out there, just so there's some sort of protection. Now, will a goose be able to take a coyote one-on-one? No. But you know what? When you hear honk, 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 and the geese are out there being, you know, with their wings out, they're pretty intimidating. I remember when I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old, we were up at this little mountain resort, and I saw, you know, this, you know, flock of geese coming at us, and I got scared. I threw the bread down, and they're being just kind of aggressive, because, you know, that's what they do. And, you know, they're geese. They think of themselves differently. They're like the llamas. They like, oh, we're royalty here. We can do what we want. Okay, I threw that bread down. My aunt and my uncle got me on top of the picnic bench because I was scared of them. Now, me being 3 or 4 years old, it's probably about the same height as a coyote, so they're kind of staring, you know, face to face, and it's kind of intimidating. And if there's a bunny or another bird that the coyote can get to without having to be intimidated by this goose, they're gonna go for it. But the second thing, the main thing, the coyotes are not gonna mess with. Under no circumstances will they mess with, and if they try it, there's going to be a problem for them. For the most part, where we're going to be rotating like the ducks and geese is right behind the house there. And why is that important? One, because I can see them. You know, they're a much more prone to predator animal. So I just want to be able to keep my eyes on them. Second thing, we have 5 dogs, including our boys Harley and Hercules, our wrecking crew. They are Great Pyrenees, Anatolian Shepherd crosses, 50-50 each. And they weigh respectively 160 and 140 pounds. So that's 300 pounds of dog just with those guys, not including the shepherd and lab mixes. And then Pepper, who's just, yeah, she's a pretty good watchdog actually. She'll go bark at everything before they do. Nothing will mess with them. I mean, I don't even want to mess with them. They're scary sometimes because they're big dogs. They're strong as can be. And you see, the way that a coyote works is that it has to be so focused on its prey to go attack. It can't have a lot of this other distractions going on around him. And when you got 2 massive dogs barking at him, or in some cases 5, woo, 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 they're gonna be on edge. They don't want to be over here. See, on this side of the farm here, this is what we'll call it about 10 to 12 acres. We have no issues with the coyotes. We have no issues with pigs. We have no issues with anything really. Raccoons. Why? Because everything is afraid of them. And you know what? They'd rather go somewhere else and not have to deal with them, or even deal with listening to them. Those boys are something else. They are the best at chasing off anything. They are loyal as all get out. So, you know, just for personal protection even. Oh my gosh. Those are some massive beast of an animal. So when we have our ducks and geese out here, they're a lot more exposed, they're a lot more open. But the thing is that they have multiple levels of protection, especially when the cows are in here. The cows, by the way, I'm almost tempted to say that you could use certain longhorns as guardian animals. See, the other day we had 2 strays kind of come on the property, and I was like, oh no, I want to go chase them off. I'm not going to do anything to them because, you know, they just need to move along, or we can try and find them their homes if they have a collar, which would be great. Okay, well, they've moved. You know, they're dogs. They're faster than me. I was in the house. I got my boots on. Came running out here, and the cows were in the other pasture. The dogs said, you know what, we're gonna go chase the cows, because they were chasing my neighbor's cows. The neighbor's cows were kind of disturbed. They were kind of freaked. They started moving over towards our cows. Big mistake. Why? Longhorns. You're not gonna mess with them. You don't want to mess with them. You don't want to mess with them. Why? Longhorns are different. Longhorns are different cows. Why? Because they survived out in the wild for hundreds of years by themselves, taking care of. They're one of the main reasons, not the main one, but the second one, why we don't have wolves here in Texas anymore. They'd go and skewer them. We had Betty here. Where's she at? There she is. Betty right there. We had Betty, Jordan our bull, Yoli, and Ellie. They start charging towards these dogs. Those dogs make an about face. Cows are faster than dogs. She got one of her horns underneath the dog. Didn't pierce it, but got it underneath like its belly, and she went and flipped it. This dog did a 360 mid-air and then took off running. It was perfectly fine. It had to be because, it just still took off running. But the dog started charging at the cows. They went, never mind. These guys are coming at me, because that's how Longhorns are. They're smart. They made an about face. They started running the other direction. The cows had the momentum, and they're faster. And next thing you know, boom, flipped it midair. Amazing. Needless to say, I'm glad the dog was okay, and it's gone to a different pasture. But it ain't coming back here. No dog's gonna want to mess with these girls here. So between the Longhorns, the llamas, the electric net, the goose that we're gonna get, and the dogs, good luck. Good luck, coyote. Good luck, pig. Good luck, wild dog. It ain't gonna happen. And all these animals together, they're making up an ecosystem to where they're all working together without really even knowing it, and they're just making this place so much better. The grass is gonna grow up greener wherever these guys are. They're gonna be able to work together and protect each other. They're just gonna make this place overall 100% better. And it's just really nice to see everything working together in a synergistic format. And it's just one of the reasons why I started this place and why I really wanted to do it this way, because this is the way that it's supposed to be. The cows help the ducks eat, the insects, because they disturb them and make it a lot less places to hide. The ducks clean up the parasites, clean up the fly larvae, so it reduces the fly pressure on the cows. They leave down their own nitrogen. The cows leave down their own nitrogen. The llamas go and help the cows because they clean up the pasture to make it better for them by eating the brambles and keeping the trees trimmed up high. Also leaving their own fertilizer, and alpaca and llama fertilizer is the best. It's like rabbit, so it's a cold one. You can put it directly on the garden. People pay actually big money for that. They're all working to protect each other, and with the dogs over there barking away everything, it just works perfectly. And it's just really, just special for me to see my vision of this place starting to come together, everything working together, and it's just, the results are there. Look at this grass. Look at this grass. Look at these animals. They're all looking great. They're all doing great. They're all living their best healthy life. The Longhorns, doing great. Sheep and Dolly, eventually their offspring, their steers, would go onto a feedlot. That's not going to happen here. The ducks, they're not in any sort of confinement house. I don't know if you can even keep ducks in a confinement house because they're just a lot more messy, but on the pasture, it's a good thing. Why? Because they're spreading minerals and nutrients all over the pasture. Great thing. So hopefully you get, okay, really? Cows. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing here, and shows you that we're working to build an ecosystem, not a farm. Look, we get the pecans from the pecan trees, so there's so much more production here. It's just incredible. So to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below, ring the notification bell so you get notified when we put up new videos. Hit the like button because it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. Drop a comment if you like, all right? Until next time, see ya. Bye.